Hello, my name is Tamar Conniff. I'm the former editor-in-chief of Billboard magazine and the current CEO and founder of social music and media site thecomet.com. I am happy to be here today for IdeaJam Music, Breaking Out Online, brought to you by Catalyst, Google, YouTube, and the innovators at Intel. Technology has leveled the playing field for artists. Where once a record label was needed for distribution of music, the internet allows artists to sell music directly to fans through companies like Cash Music and Topspin. You know, at one point you really needed a big marketing budget to launch an artist. Now with social media, YouTube, and Twitter, acts can go virally immediately to massive audience without spending any money. But how? What are the secrets of cracking the codes for social media? Just because you put a video into the world doesn't mean you're going to be the next big YouTube star. And what if you do have millions of views? That doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to buy your music. So today's IdeaJam will help crack the code. We have two YouTube artists, Joseph Vincent, who has millions of YouTube fans but doesn't have a record deal, and Delaney Gibson, who has a ton of industry accolades but not that many YouTube views. And we're going to help take them to the next level with the help of some of our very special industry experts. We're really going to dive into the problems these artists are facing and find solutions for them. We're going to talk about the latest technology, the tools that artists can use, and the important thing here to understand is that while we are talking about music, the music industry was sort of the first real media industry to get attacked by the internet and have to change their whole business model. But the lessons we learn here apply to everybody. They apply to film, they apply to television, they apply to companies and brands. I mean, these are really the tools that anyone needs to use to get their name out online. So they're going to get invaluable social media and career advice. And then, towards the end of the morning, I'm going to bring in two really hot producers, and they're going to take some original songs that these two guys have written and rework them and really take them to the next level musically also. And all this is happening at the Village Studios in Santa Monica. These studios are legendary. Everyone is recorded here from Bob Dylan to Lady Gaga. So by the end of the day, we're going to have these artists are going to be ready to perform their new cranked up version of their songs. You know, who knows? They might just be the next big thing. Welcome to IdeaJam. So, Delaney and Joseph, how are you guys?
Good, happy.
I just want to give everyone a little bit of background. Delaney is a multi-instrumentalist, piano, guitar, harmonica, glockenspiel. I just like saying glockenspiel. It's just such a cool word to say. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. She's open for artists like, I don't know, Barbra Streisand, Barry Manilow. She's worked with David Foster. She's literally ranked among the top vocalists in the world. And, you know, but she has some Twitter followers. She has some YouTube views, but about like 31,000 YouTube views. What's interesting about this is that Joseph, I think one of your songs has like 6 million YouTube views.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. He's got over 25 million YouTube views for all the songs that he's put up. You've been on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You have 28,000 Twitter followers, but you don't have this. You haven't gotten the same kind of industry props that Delaney's gotten. So this is definitely showing us there's, you know, a difference between these two artists, and this is the problem that we're going to solve for today. Mm-hmm. I want to really introduce you to Delaney, and we're going to go to her YouTube video, La-Di-Da. La-Di-Da, La-Di-Da.
Everybody's looking for somebody who's fighting for me. I need a little more than constant competition. You look like a casualty, but baby, that's okay with me. I've always been attracted to natural disasters. What, where, and why? You never know if you don't try. I'm sweet on you, so sweet on you. I'm sweet on you. Never been that good with names, always going down in flames. I'm just looking for a change, a temporary landing. Lower down your arms for me, it may not be a victory. At least it's something I can see, a little bit of contact. Where, and why? You never know if you don't try.
Very nice.
Thank
So,
you.
That was really good.
Delaney, I'm curious, like, what are you hoping to get out of today? What are the things that you really feel that you need to work on as an artist?
YouTube hits. No, I mean, I think I've put all this stuff up on YouTube, kind of relatively new, about a year or so. I've been really heavily trying to promote it. I just don't know how to get it out there, and I always tend to pick the most obscure cover songs to do, and I don't think a lot of people search for them. So, yeah, I think kind of, balance it out with what Joseph's doing and see if I can get any information from him and that sort of thing. Yeah, and try to just kind of figure it out.
Well, I think we have some people that can help you with that.
Yeah.
And now I want to go to Joseph, and we want to show your YouTube video, Heartbreak Girl. Let's see what we got.
Actually, it's called If You Stay.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's called If You Stay. See, it says it
There
right
we
there.
go.
We're getting Heartbreak Girl later.
Let's go. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm the worst lip syncer.
Good job.
I was standing on the other side, watching you leave, and I couldn't see you go. Know that I was so sincere when I said I need you here, 'cause this is your home now. You're the one, my everything. If you stay, you'll make me sing. I'll give you my life, I'll give you my heart. Nothing will ever come between us, ever come between us tonight. I'll show you the way. Oh, just promise me that you'll stay. Promise me that you'll stay.
I like how you're floating through the
Yeah.
library. That is so cool.
People thought that was green screen, but that was like someone pulling me on a trolley.
That's really great.
Strong guy.
What are you hoping to get out of today?
Songwriting. Definitely songwriting. Because
Interesting.
I do my own songwriting, but I would like to develop my skills a lot more. And just understand how the industry works and like how they analyze the general public and what they listen to. Just analyzing on a broader term, way. So yeah, just trying to learn that way, for sure.
Well, again, I think we have a bunch of people that can help you guys with
Hope
that.
so.
So I'm going to ask you guys to sit over there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring out our experts.
Sweet.
First up, I'd like to ask Eric Garland to come on down. Have a seat right here, sir. And DA, come and have a seat next to Eric. Hey, how are you? DA? Rachel?
Hey, brother.
Come on, take a seat next to DA. Hey, man, what are you doing? Ian, right next to me. And Scooter, you ready? You get to come sit in between Ian and Rachel. How are you guys?
Good.
Oh,
Excited.
you were going to sit right there. There you go. Okay, it's my pleasure. I feel, first of all, very honored to be sitting here with you guys, and I'm going to introduce you all. This is Eric Garland. He is the CEO of a company called Big Champagne, which is basically the new Nielsen, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of really tracking social media and what it really means to be popular online. So what Big Champagne does is not just track digital sales and radio play, but like what's being streamed, what's being played on YouTube, what's on MySpace, how many Twitter followers you have. So you really get a very accurate gauge of what is happening in the world of social media. And then next to Eric, you have D.A. Wallach, who I'm proud to say is a good friend. He's been an unofficial advisor to me in my entrepreneurial endeavors. He was the first artist to be on on Facebook, one of the first. He almost has 1 million Twitter followers. He's one half of the band Chester French. He also consults with a lot of technology companies, and he's an artist, and so he really understands how to move the needle forward for artists in social media. And then we have Mr. Scooter Braun. Hello. Hi. How are you? Scooter discovered and manages this little kid named Justin Bieber, one of the biggest YouTube stars of all time and one of the biggest artists in the world. He started out in Jermaine Dupri's company, So So Def, when he was 19 years old. And happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you. I'm not 19 anymore.
21?
He's 21. He's just a little bit older than Justin. And then right here we have Ian Rogers. He is, in certain circles, considered the fourth Beastie Boy. He's been working with the Beastie Boys since the 90s and has been a huge part of growing their social media. He was a big executive at Yahoo in their media department, and now he is the founder and chief of Topspin, which, in my opinion, is one of the most innovative artist direct-to-fan platforms that is out there right now. So, so happy you're here. And then we have Rachel Masters. If you need to understand what to do with your social media, how to get Facebook followers, and more people to follow you on Twitter, Rachel is the person. She's been working with artists Linkin Park, Incubus, a ton of others, some I can't mention, but they're really, really big. And she's going to have a lot to tell us. So these are our experts. Welcome to everybody.
Thank you.
The first question I want to ask, and I'm gonna throw this out there, is that there's so much going on online, and artists feel like they have to do everything. And I think what happens is they end up doing everything poorly. So in your opinion, what should people really focus on? What really should they focus on? YouTube or Facebook or Twitter? Or, like, what is really, what advice would you give someone who's just kind of entering the space and trying to figure out what social media to follow?
I was really happy to hear Joseph say he wants help with songs. Because I think, you know, if we didn't start there, we'd be doing you a disservice. Like, absolutely the most important thing is the work, right? And the rest of it, finding the audience, making the connection with the audience, keeping the connection with the audience, making sure that you are where they are and you're spending attention in the right places and all that, that all follows on the thing that has to happen first. Which is
no technology is going to make people listen to music they don't like.
No.
So that brings us to authenticity. So really you have to have authentic music. So let's say, hypothetically, you have that part. Then what do you do?
Yeah.
What you love. That's really what it's all about, right? Like, you're in the music business, like, you're struggling and trying to make it because you love music, right?
Not eating because
Yeah, that's the only thing that all I can do.
So then you got to figure out, okay, well, besides for singing, how else do I love to express myself? Is it, you know, making videos? Is it you're telling you're awesome on Twitter?
I do a lot of photos.
Just keep on doing that.
Awesome.
Like, you like to take photographs. Figure out, like, what mediums do you like to express yourself, and then figure out, like, which social network should you double down on. Like, just start, like, putting all your energy into Twitter. If you love Twitter, then go to Facebook. I call them the gateway drugs. Once you get, like,
That's a good
into
term.
that, then, okay, go to the other niche social networks, like Instagram, which is like picture sharing, or go to Forum Spring, which is great Q&A site, which is really beginning to get behind artists, and just, you know, express yourself however you feel best.
Cool.
I would say, you know, with Justin Bieber, what struck me when I watched his early YouTube videos was that he's just so talented and was so authentic.
All right, I think, going back to what you said, it has to start with something real. We're in the music business, and I get asked all the time now, how are we going to transition him into an adult artist?
Right.
And, you know, there was a group that also had teenage girls screaming so loud that you couldn't hear them singing, and they were the Beatles. And I'm not trying to say he's the Beatles, but I will say that they made great records, and that's why they lasted the test of time, and that's why we still listen to them today. So if you make great songs, you'll last. As far as how you start on the internet and everything else, you know, I think every business is an example of a different business, and I started off like a lot of music executives as a party promoter, and then found out that I didn't really like being in clubs that much. But, you know, when you start as a party promoter, if you become a big party promoter, you have 1,000 people come to your party every single week. Now the secret is it's the same 1,000 people, and I think the same thing goes for what you're doing on the internet when you start. Don't focus on the millions out there. Focus on a select few, and build with them and interact with them and speak to them the way their friends are speaking on the internet and talk directly to them. get to know them. I mean, with our fan base, I can literally tell you who our biggest Twitter groups are, where they live, what their names are. Justin and I and our whole team speak to them. And then from there, grow it out. And the one thing I saw watching your videos, they didn't show any of your other videos. They showed the 2 professional ones. This is a secret that I'm just going to put out there. Don't start professional. Because the kids watching your videos can't afford it. So they don't feel connected to you if you start professional. Take out the smallest, cheapest camera you own and make them feel like, I mean, I assume that's how you started.
Oh, yeah.
And when you started
laptop camera.
Yeah, laptop camera. When you got millions of views.
Yeah.
It wasn't
laptop camera.
It wasn't, hey, I'm being pulled on a trolley. Like, that's really great to see.
Yeah.
But a kid who sees that assumes that you're part of the machine already.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not that exciting to them.
Right.
Now I'm in the machine. It's not that exciting.
DA, what about you? When you, I mean, you've started in social media, so like immediately the minute it came about, like how have you used it, or how has it worked for you as an artist?
It's worked well because I think, you know, my single-minded focus has always been how do we have really rich relationships with our fans. And we made the decision from the beginning to be sort of a group that was very accessible. So I've always had my email address on our website or our Twitter or Facebook. Anyone's always been able to contact me. And I think that suggests that there is sort of a trade-off that artists have to sort of navigate right now between mystique and accessibility. And a lot of these channels sort of lend themselves to people who are very accessible and open and create this community or this lifestyle that people can be a part of. But on the other hand, there are groups like Radiohead that are still probably my favorite acts who are built completely upon mystique, or the White Stripes. And the challenge, I think, is sort of charting a course through either of those paths but being consistent. So if you're someone who doesn't want to sort of open yourself up to the social media world, then your work on its own has to be astonishing.
Right.
And I believe that there's a lot of good but mediocre music out there right now, maybe more than there's ever been before.
Something more mediocre.
When people make a song that sounds professional and good and competent, that might be fulfilling for them, but it doesn't necessarily catch on online. And I believe the way things spread is that people want to, when they send something to 10 friends, have that action say something about themselves. And insofar as someone makes a video that is incredible, or a song that is incredible, or heartbreaking, or shocking, it's a statement to pass that on to your friends. It says something about you and your taste and your sort of insight. And so I think it's important to aim for that sort of art if you want to take that path.
I have a question for you about this notion.
This is you trying to
I promise. I promise. I told her beforehand that I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I know. You did this to me once before. Go ahead, Eric. You can ask a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got excited. So this question, this notion of accessibility versus mystique. I know a lot of people in and out of the business who are lamenting now that it feels like maybe that isn't really a choice available to new artists, in as much as they're lamenting, I don't know if there could be a Brian Wilson or an Andy Partridge or even a Radiohead coming out of this current climate, because they were all built by the previous engine, right? And they now enjoy some mystique. And so I wonder what you think about that.
I don't know that those people are becoming superstars, but they are becoming Bon Iver.
Yes.
And they're selling 500,000 records independently over the course of a year or two. And it's just because people love their music.
Yeah, and I would use, Yesayer as another example of a band like that, where they actually, when you hear them tell their story, particularly their manager will tell you, like, the mystique was, it was something that they protected. There were no photos of the band available for the first, 12 months even. So they intentionally made it about the music, about, the tight control of the visuals. And I think things like that do work. I think people are kind of hungry for some.
The music has to be amazing, though.
Yeah, the music has to be amazing.
Is there such a thing as too much fan interaction?
I think there
is.
Depends on the artist.
It really, it's the same reason I had this conversation. We hung out yesterday, unfortunately. But and let me also say this:
really good
DA and I became good friends because I actually was watching what they were doing as a band and said, "I want to meet these guys," and literally emailed him on his website. and a day later he said, "I'm in town, let's get together."
That's
so
cool.
he isn't making that up. He is that accessible. But you know, what the heck was I about to say?
Depends on the artist.
Depends on the band.
No, about as far as the type of artist there is. I mean, it's, you know, when you go to the Grammys, they put you in these categories, and you'll have jazz musicians with rock musicians and pop musicians, and sometimes they're fighting for the same thing, and you just can't compare music that way. It's not fair to the art. So I think it's the same thing when it comes to marketing that art. You know, every artist has to be marketed differently, and their marketing has to be authentic to who they are. You know, how you market the Beastie Boys at this point in their career could even be very different to how you marketed them in the beginning of their career. And how you market a Justin Bieber is very different from how you market, you know, Esperanza Spalding. So, you know, and it's completely different in how you do these things. And sometimes if you take away that complete everyday interaction of that artist with their fans feel betrayed because that was the artist and that's how they discovered him, and they expect that of that artist. If you have an artist that has always had the mystique and then suddenly they want to interact with you every single day directly, their fan base is going to become insulted.
And
They might be a little
Bob
creeped
Dylan
out.
all of a sudden.
Or like Neil Young, like
Yeah,
suddenly it's
all of a
like,
sudden, LOL.
No, it's true, but you know, but then also, I think at certain points in the career, talk about, you know, how you market the Beastie Boys now differently than before. Every artist has to choose that point when they transition and do something different. And Bob Dylan was one of those acts, you know, who really, his fan base felt completely betrayed when he
when
made
he
that
went
transition.
electric. Yeah.
But it defined his career.
Right.
So, you know, it's that game you play, and none of us, if we all knew exactly how it worked, it would be a lot easier for us.
Oh, come on, that's what we're here. We're here to like find out exactly how it works. You know, when we started the conversation, I was talking about Delaney and Joseph, and that sort of Joseph has like a ton of YouTube plays, and Delaney doesn't. Can we show the slides that Eric gave us? Because I thought was really interesting about the slides that you gave me in showing that YouTube plays doesn't always translate into obviously sales, and sort of what that means. Because at the end of the day, any artist, you can roll into the slide, any artist wants to actually be able to support themselves and be able to quit their day job. So can you walk us through this and really kind of explain what this means? Because it's pretty fascinating.
I mean, obviously, the point here is that sales and YouTube views can certainly coincide, right? These are top-selling artists. I don't know if you can see the fine print, but this is Bieber and Gaga and Eminem. But the point is that the impressions, the places where those fans interact with those artists are completely different than they were not 10 or 20 years ago, but even 3 or 5 years ago. And now, in terms of impressions, and I don't know if you can see the scale of this, but we're basically working our way down from a billion to, or rather from 1.4 billion to a billion views. These artists are top-selling artists, but in this country, what's Bieber sold? This is going to be a big number.
Millions, yeah. I mean, it's over the world. It's something like 13 million records right now.
Right, exactly. So this is an
like
artist.
14 billion.
1.4
billion.
Yeah.
And that's in one venue,
Wow.
right? That's just YouTube. That does not account for, the Groove Shark plays and the Facebook likes and all of it. I mean, we're talking about literally many billions of impressions for a single artist in venues that did not exist, in some cases a few months ago or a very few years ago.
Right.
And so it is now possible to be extraordinarily popular in some channels and be virtually non-existent in other channels, right? This notion of just airplay plus sales equals success is completely gone.
What does that mean in terms of, obviously these are top-selling artists, but what does that mean for like an artist like Joseph or Delaney in terms of translating views into actual commerce? Like how do you make that connect?
It's a good question. I mean, what we always talk about when we talk to artists is you have to decide kind of what phase you're in. What are you trying to do? Because first and foremost, you've got to build awareness. There's always, even for a Justin Bieber, there's a pool of people out there who aren't aware of whatever's happening tomorrow, right? So you've got to build that awareness first. There's always, I'm sure you feel strongly that there are more people, if you could just get the music in front of them, they would love it, right? So that's the awareness that you're trying to build for starters. If you're lucky enough to build awareness, and it's not easy, right? You have to have the music and get it in front of them. Then you want to build that connection. This is what we tell people all the time is until you've done those two things and then invest some time into that relationship, one way or another with those fans, don't even try to sell anything, right? Because I see artists all the time that are just like, well, I made my record, now I'm going to sell it. Okay, well, how many people do you have on your email list? Like 50. Okay, well, you can do the math, and you're going to sell 2. If you're lucky, and they're going to be related to you. So you spend the time, building awareness, building fan connections, building a real relationship with those fans, and only once you've done that, then can you sell them something. And you want to offer them. By that point, hopefully, you've built enough of a relationship that you know something about those people. You know what they would like. Right. And it's not just, I'm going to make a CD, right? 12 songs. I mean, you got to have something that's appropriate for you and the image you're trying to present. And then you're going to know who those fans are, and you're going to say, I'm going to give them something they're going to love. And they're really going to want, and they're going to appreciate. I mean, it's sort of similar to what you're saying about, don't start with the professional video. Why start with the CD, right? Start by building that fan base, and then give those fans something that they're really going to go, wow, this is incredible. So that's where I would start. I think if I believe what Mike Masnick said of his, connect with fans, give them a reason to buy, and they will, right? That's kind of the math equation. I think too many times people are trying to do what the people yesterday did. I think you want to connect with fans, give them a reason to buy, they'll buy. People love supporting art, thankfully. That's just kind of in our DNA. So I think that's kind of a formula you want to start with there.
Yeah, I went to both of your YouTube channels yesterday, and it's great. It really represents both of you as an artist and shows off your music. But I think you need to start using YouTube to start talking to your audience as well. So maybe tape a video while you're here in LA and tell them about your day here and let them know about your experience. Do whatever feels comfortable to talk about, and then ask them a question at the end, so that they can respond. The YouTube moderator tool is fantastic, and people can write into you either with writing questions or even through video, and use that. So have like one of your music videos up there with one of your videos where you're talking, so people can get to know you and can start building a relationship with your audience.
That's been the hardest thing, is that YouTube, when it's Facebook or Twitter, there's such an easy way to interact, and with YouTube it's kind of like ambiguous, and you're like, wait, how do I put up a video, and then they comment, and then, so that's a really good idea.
Yeah, there's a great Q&A section within YouTube. That's how I figured it out. The other important thing is, send, in those videos, send people to your Twitter, profile, and also your Facebook page. Use YouTube to promote your other spokes around the web.
Awesome.
And one thing I'll say about YouTube specifically that we're trying to work through with them is that link between YouTube and the reason to buy is pretty weak. Right, because what's there right now is buy on iTunes, buy on Amazon, but that's not a compelling product for a lot of fans. I mean, they know it's the same song that they're hearing right now, so I can just hit play again. Or they also know they could probably get it for free somewhere, right? So I think what we'd like to do is to help them build stronger connections to whatever it is, because you're probably going to do something special for those fans.
It's like they'll buy the song for you as a person because they know who you are.
Right.
And they're also, it's interesting, Ian's company, Topspin, builds this amazing platform through which you can sort of engage with your fans and sell them things. And on my band's last album, we ended up selling a lot more in terms of revenue of things than music.
Right, yeah.
So once there was this emotional connection with us as a group, or with our sort of outlook on life or art, people wanted to buy posters, or people wanted to buy a chance to hang out with us, or something other than just the music, which for the most part they can get pretty easily for free.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of it. You can get and it's also what Ian was saying, you start out giving it away and then give them a reason to buy and connect them, and then I guess ideally down the road upsell them with the proper tools. I want to talk about technology for a minute, because we honestly don't know what's going to happen tomorrow technologically, or what we're going to be capable of doing. Eric and I actually got to sit down with Intel's futurist, which was pretty fascinating. I mean, he just took us into like the year 2020, into like the super cloud, and it was pretty interesting that that Intel as a company obviously develops the super processor that we all use in our devices, but that they really are trying to figure out like what the next thing is and build for that.
Yeah.
So I really do want to talk about the cloud for a minute and how that is currently affecting music, the way fans interact with music, the monetization of music, and what that means to artists like Delaney and Joseph. And actually, I wanted to start out talking with you. I know that you've been doing like some consulting with Spotify, and certainly as an artist have some opinions on what the cloud means. So
yeah, well, so to speak to that, I'm actually the artist in residence at Spotify, which means that inside of that company, which is a big, fast-growing digital music service in the world, and in that company, I'm an advocate for the creative community. So what we're trying to figure out is how we can convert people who right now don't pay for music into a music marketplace that is better to use, more convenient, more portable than anything they have to choose from now, and that pays artists every single time their music is enjoyed. So one of the cool things about the cloud in that respect is that I think we finally have the possibility of paying people based upon the usage of their music in the world. So if I sell a song right now on iTunes, as we do every day, and I get 70 cents, it's a great deal if they listen to my music 3 times, hopefully or 4 times. But if they listen to it 10,000 times, if they send it to 8 of their friends, it quickly becomes a diminishing return to me creatively. And really what we are now starting to have at our fingertips is the ability to see every time someone listens to a song that we create, where they're listening to it, who they're sharing it with, how quickly it's spreading in the world, what type of people at an aggregate level are enjoying the music. And these are insights that companies like Eric's have provided as well through other channels. But we really want to figure out how to empower artists to understand what's happening with their music in the world and how to leverage that to build the rest of their career. So for instance, it's very difficult for me to think about going to Spain and playing shows because I have no idea where I should play those shows, or if my music's popular there, or what type of people are into it. And as an artist, that's the sort of information that I want to have. And
it's also a feedback loop on the creative process, right?
100%.
You know what they're listening to, and potentially even when. I love kind of imagining a future where music gets made so your goal when you make it is you want people to listen to it over and over instead of you want to sell it. Like it kind of changes the paradigm.
Totally.
It absolutely changes the paradigm. And by the data, it rewards exactly that. I mean, when you look at the difference between music, as we've always measured it, the barometer for the success of music has always been how many people steal it away, put it on a shelf, and then maybe take it down, never, maybe take it down every day. I mean, in other words, it's never had anything to do with people actually interacting with music. It's only had to do with them hoarding music.
Right.
And when you measure it the other way, right, when you flip the switch and you say, like, I don't care about the 900 CDs you have on your shelf that you never, ever touch. They're just collecting dust. I care about the things that you listen to 900 times.
Yeah.
It completely flips, the traditional expectations of success on its head, and it rewards very specific, sticky artists that you come back to again and again and again. And there's something that feels sort of empirically right about that. Right?
There'd be a lot of artists who actually get to have careers if that's the case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists that, some of the proudest albums I was ever involved in early on, I have a plaque on my wall of Anthony Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, I think I was 21 when I was at SoSoDef and we did that album. And one of the proudest things I've ever been a part of. And not because I did anything or Jermaine did anything, it's because of what Anthony did. And I was just proud to be associated with his work. And, he's not the biggest artist on the planet, but what you're describing, he's the kind of guy that people literally listen to his songs over and over and over again because that fan base, it's not just buy the CD, put it on the shelf. He's a timeline to their life.
Right.
Feels good to to see that rewarded.
Absolutely.
It does. Yeah.
I just want to say something to them because they look like their heads are going to explode. You can take it all in, but I think for every artist out there who's watching this and trying to figure out the formula, I want to simplify it because when I mean, I can understand what the cloud is, but I guarantee you 90% of the people watching this
I know, I was just
are
going to
like
ask,
the
like,
cloud.
you should actually explain what the cloud is.
But I just want to say this as we go on, and this, I don't know if they agree with this advice or not. This is a lot, it's very simple. Today's world, people can steal music easier than ever before. And the majority of the albums that even are great, a lot of artists get dropped. Not because people aren't listening to their music, just because people aren't paying for their music. And then some of the times the great art that you love never gets a chance to keep living because we can't monetize it. So the only way kids buy music and adults buy music is if they choose to support that artist. And that's the game. It's making them, instead of want to listen to your songs, it's making them want to pay homage to you. And it's really that simple. It's trying to figure out how do you interact with someone on a personal level. You could say it's a popularity contest, you can do this, but when you look at YouTube views versus, you know, digital sales, as that thing had before. Oh, they're trying to run back to it. I don't know if they're. There it is. Now, here's the thing, just so you know, and I know some people might not want to hear this. All three of those artists, 80% of their sales are still physical. And it's not because going to the store, I don't even know where to find a physical CD, and I work in this business. But the reason is because they choose to support them, and not just choose to do it online. They want to hold it, they want to feel it still, and that is a conscious choice, because I guarantee you 80% of those people who buy the physical album already got it on their computer. They either got it illegally or they bought it the right way, and now they're choosing to still go out and physically buy that CD, that vinyl, whatever it is, because they are choosing to support you. So the game is not about figuring out, we'll discuss, because it's interesting, the cloud and all these different things, but I think the game for every artist out there is truly figuring out how to touch that consumer in a way that makes them believe in you and want to support you. And if you just focus on that and focus on the music, you will be successful. It's not figuring out which technology or this, that. Like she said, the fans will show you where they're living, and you'll go to them. But once you get that connection, you'll feel it and hold on to it as tight as you possibly can.
Yeah, you have to treat them with respect.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I think that's really what you were saying. Is, you know, I always think about the thing that really changed the game and changed my mind about this was when Trent Reznor offered his album for free, for $5, for, you know, $75, all the way up to $300. And what was so interesting about it was, you know, he turned the question around. So instead of saying, hey, you know, you're stealing it, come buy it, come on, we know you can get it for free, but come on, you thieves, like, come and get it.
We're going to sue you.
Yeah, we're going to sue you. Yeah, which is what, it's not what you say to your fans, right? He just threw this out there and said, you know, so how big a fan are you? Right? And then he gave them a very cool way to express how big a fan they were, and he gave them something really valuable. You know, the box set that he gave them was, the $300 thing was insane. It was something you actually want to own. And that's, you know, that's the sort of the instantiation of that.
I actually want to invite one of the most viewed YouTube artists to come join us. Carmen, would you guys come out? This is keyboardist Nick and vocalist Amy. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
I beg to differ.
Welcome.
Hey, guys. Hey,
what's going on?
Hey, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
They have,
Huge
what, like how
fan.
many, like 69 million?
No, keep.
Something like that.
Something a little like that.
A bit.
Tell us, like, how you did it. I mean, give us some background. Like, how did you guys get there?
Well, I found him on the street.
Yeah, I
selling
just started.
drugs.
Yeah, well, you're selling drugs at Berkeley now. I know you guys went to Berkeley School of Music.
Yeah, how did we start? We graduated from Berkeley and kind of had no idea what we wanted to do with all this knowledge. And one thing that I jumped into right away was a day job. And I was working for BerkeleyMusic.com, which actually had one of the first certified topspin courses, which is how I know about you. And which is how I learned, actually, probably more than I did at the main campus, about the music business and kind of the way that it's going now.
Direction and everything.
So we actually started dating 6 years ago. So we dated all through college. He's a jazz trombone player.
Surprise. That was actually that was kind of my bread and butter.
Trombone
That's what I got.
is an awesome instrument.
It is.
It's a difficult
so
instrument
hard.
to play.
It's so hard.
No, and it's beautiful. And
It's beautiful
I'm
if you play it
very
well, and
impressed
it's
right now.
Thank you.
He's
Thank you
very good at trombone.
I am.
But we, at the time, we were playing in a lot of different bands. I was a wedding singer for 7 years, trying to make money, pay off my loans.
You guys are like a reality show too.
Right.
Yeah, I was working at a boxing club for 2 years before.
He
so
was
it's
Playing
literally-
trombone and boxing.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Exactly. So yeah.
So we
yeah,
were in
that's
several
kinda how-
different groups, and we thought, why don't we just do something together? Because we're together all the time anyway.
Right. And we respected each other a lot musically,
Yeah.
right? So let's just kind of like let's just do this. Let's take everybody else out of the equation, do the complete DIY approach, and see what happens. And it kind of first it was just going to start off as like it was like the first couple songs were like so hippie, and
Campfire,
like,
crazy,
it's like she doesn't play
timid.
Well, she's an unbelievable vocalist, so we're like, well, we need to have trombone and singer isn't going to work so well.
That's not really.
So why don't it was like, well, she's always wanted to play guitar, right? And her dad's like this closet rock star, huge Beatles fan, and everything. So he's always grew up with that in the house. So why don't you actually learn how to play guitar? I'll learn how to play keys and cajon.
Yeah, since we're broke, let's instead of a drum set, let's get a wooden box and let's play that.
So that'll be another new approach, right? It all kind of came from the hip hop angle, oddly enough, because there's no cymbals. Just got your lows and your highs, right? Your kick and your snare, and a couple different tones in between, or whatever. So we kind of do that, and eventually we want to manipulate the sound so it's nice and up front and crunchy and the whole deal. So like, all right, so let's do that. So
Well, let's put ourselves on YouTube now.
Yeah. So now let's get going. So we started doing some originals, doing some things like that, and we got people who found us liked us, but I mean that's like finding a needle in a haystack, right?
Yeah.
So
so much music out there.
So we actually, yeah, you're right. So and eventually Niels Gums,
our manager
now, not at the time, but they met at Berkeley way back in the day. Really, really smart guy. You're gonna be hearing that name a lot. So he pretty much, and he's here somewhere. Shout out. So he was like, listen guys, we gave him our EP that we cut. It was kind of like a demo EP thing. This is a long story, it'll get shorter in a second. And then he pretty much said, I love what you guys are doing, but I want to create more awareness around you. We'll start like a cover campaign. So he said, all right, let's do it. And we were actually open to it because creatively it would still be interesting because we still have to put our own spin on it. You can put as much personality as you possibly can. Make it Carmen. Make it the Carmen sound.
You did that. You definitely did that.
Yeah, and thank you so. And that's huge. That's huge. Thank you. So we tried that, and then 7 months later, here we are.
It was slow and steady though. It wasn't, we used to get really excited to have 300 views overnight. That was like, whoa. And then eventually you get to that point where you post a video and it stops at like 307.
Yeah.
303, 307 every time.
But it didn't really explode for us until the Look at Me Now video, the Chris Brown Busta Rhymes thing. And we actually met Busta like 3 days ago, so we're on cloud 15. It's just amazing.
Well, it's interesting. I actually want to ask the whole panelists in terms of like taking popular songs and reinterpreting them, and that seems to be something that really connects with audiences online. Like
it's the history of the music business.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the original LP was one original song and the rest were covers.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
There's a little band called the Beatles started off as a cover band.
Yeah.
It's always been a way for artists to get exposure, and it's. How about we do that? It's definitely taken new life from YouTube, though, for sure.
Yeah, it is really, really interesting. It's really interesting.
How is that then translating to sort of like your original songs? Like, are you seeing like those go up too, or?
Yeah, clearly not as much, but absolutely a lot. It was kind of as soon as like the first week when the Look at Me Now went viral or whatever. We saw all these big time producers and all these like really like big gangster rap and hip hop guys were sitting around a lot of our originals. And it's like most of those we put up at the time were from our catalog, which we had written like way before, and it was kind of more in the hippie John Mayer
world.
And it's like they're great songs. They're great songs. We think there's great lyrics, there's great melodies, the whole thing. What's an acoustic guitar, and it's
the recordings are not awesome.
White.
So yeah, we're talking a lot about that lately too.
It was.
This is the secret. This is the real secret.
Yeah.
This is the time-tested approach. In addition to covers, do black music and you'll be
fine.
Always in America.
You're good.
I want to talk about branding for a minute because you guys said something interesting about it being like the Carmen sound.
Yes.
Exactly. The Carmen sound, and obviously, Justin Bieber's been branded a certain way. Chester French has been branded a certain way. How important is it when you are, starting your social media strategy or starting out as an artist like Joseph and Delaney to be really clear about what your brand is? Can you guys address that a little bit? I'm opening that to anyone just about branding yourself online.
I'm going to start with the word consistency, just because from the very beginning, I drew the logo with, by hand, and we were like, this is what we want to do, and we're not going to do this, and it's just, you want to be as specific as possible, because then people start remembering. Like, we had a tagline, it was like, the little band with a big sound, and everybody would repeat that and tweet that, and,
Yeah, I think consistency is a huge thing, and just content. Just content.
Yeah, consistency, yeah. Put out a video every week if you can.
They have to keep dating now.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. We have to remain a couple.
Wait, you guys are... You're not stuck with each other.
Yeah.
Splitting up could be like Dylan Goes Electric.
We each make a solo album.
I really think though, like in their case, my girlfriend showed me your video a week and a half ago, right? For the Look at Me Now thing. And
you're a little behind the curve.
I'm a little behind. I'm super behind the curve. It was because she didn't talk to me for the week before that. But the Busta Rhymes verse in the original song is astonishing. It's amazing rapping, and you're then doing something that's amazing. So people want to show other people that because it's incredible.
Right.
And this is again to like where we started. If you do something that is that you, if you saw it, would go, oh my God, then it will work. Yeah. And
so undeniable type.
Undeniable. And I'm the first person to say it. I put out tons of music that is completely forgettable, or that doesn't have that quality. Good, average, interesting, muso nerd, whatever. But until it's astonishing, it doesn't on its own take life.
And that really is kind of the physics of the space
Yeah.
that have changed, right? Is that if something is astonishing, it's now more efficient
than ever before.
To get that out there. I think it's amazing, to think about all of the things that have been hard to see that everyone has seen, right? I always think about that. That Chronicles of Narnia rap thing from Saturday Night Live that everyone saw on YouTube, even though NBC tried to make it so we couldn't. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So in a way, negative marketing dollars were spent on that. Right? But think of all the things. Good at that too. Think of all the things that a lot of money has been spent trying to get us to see that we haven't seen.
Yeah, but
because it is forgettable.
You're absolutely right, and this is one of the foundational lies that the internet told us. Is that the actual case is that the internet made things more efficient, but it did not make things easier. Like cutting to the front of the line isn't any more available to you than it was in the analog age. So yeah, now you can do these things that scale tremendously, but they're available to everyone. So it's no easier for you to distinguish yourself than it ever was. And that's why, going back to this notion of cover songs, a great song draws a crowd. A familiar great song draws an even bigger crowd faster. But the trick then is keeping the crowd, right? You've assembled this group. Now you have to do something really astonishing, or they'll just move on and gather around something else.
Well, and the other thing is that, like, even with Justin Bieber, I remember Scooter. I say the biggest failure in my career was not hiring Scooter as my manager. Scooter showed up in my bedroom 3 years ago.
That is whoa. We are not dating. We are not dating.
Scooter materialized.
We broke up a month ago.
I pulled back the sheets and Scooter was in my bed.
You might hire him.
In any event, Scooter showed up in my room and he showed me Justin Bieber. This is because we had no furniture in the rest of my house, by the way.
That's true.
And Scooter showed me this Justin Bieber video. He said, this kid's going to be huge. But it still took 3 years to build this superstar. And even with the Look at Me Now video, huge, it might take 5 years. I don't know. It takes most people in life 10 years of working on something for it to become successful.
Right.
But I want to go further on that because I think this is important because you have how many views on YouTube?
A lot. I don't know.
But millions.
Millions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like 10 million.
I'm loving meeting you guys because, and I'm going to explain why. You guys remember I emailed you. Right. No, I
emailed back.
You emailed right. Absolutely did. We emailed with each other right after they posted that video, and I said, "Listen, it wasn't even about approaching the manager. I was like, I just want to let you know I'm a fan, and if you guys need anything, here's my direct email. Good luck." And what they don't know is 2 weeks ago I had lunch with L.A. Reid.
No.
And he was raving about you guys.
Close up on the face.
So, and here's why I'm really loving this. And LA, I apologize. No, because he gets it now. When I went around with Justin, when I tell you the idea of you have a lot of clicks on YouTube meant nothing, it meant zero.
It's funny, right?
Every person said, you had Esme Denters, you had all these people getting signed of you, and literally everyone said, no one's monetized it. It means nothing. These people are just singing whatever. It's over. It doesn't mean anything. And everyone said no. Yeah. And when we put out our first single, LA and I had a conversation, which I'll tease him about right now, and he'll kill me. You can tease him too.
We can.
He was saying, you know, we got to start monetizing this. We got to change things up. We might need a TV show, this, that, and the other, because you're not making any money here. You know, this is just clicks on YouTube. And I said, LA, what you don't realize, and at the time I just put out the Asher Roth album, and Asher had the #1 album on iTunes for like 10 straight days, and he said, I want Justin to be as big as Asher is. And I said, LA, he's there. You just don't realize how this works. So seeing that, and this is what I want to, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. I just want you guys to realize when we're talking about paying attention to your fans and showing them respect, and then you talk about consistency, the only people you should care about showing respect and having consistency to, and you can tell LA I said this, is the people who got you in front of the LA Reids and the Jimmy Iovine's and the Leor Cohens and all these people that you think you need their approval. Right. If you have the approval of the kids on YouTube, that's all you need. And never leave it. Because they will admittedly now look you in the eye and say, we don't know what we're talking about. Because you can't tell what people are going to react to. It's the truth. It's the truth.
No, it is the truth. I'm happy to hear you say it.
No, it's the absolute truth. And I'm going to be that guy someday who has no idea what I'm talking about. And I hope that some kid walks into my office and says, you don't know what you're talking about. and I listen to him. Because at the end of the day, all of this goes to the internet today, and all these platforms give you an opportunity to do something that artists never got to do, which is screw the A&R, screw the chairman. I can tell you right now whether my stuff works.
Right.
And that's what this is all about, because 10 years ago, you would have never gotten a record deal.
Right. Well,
unless you played clubs and all kinds of stuff and somebody's opinion mattered.
Right, exactly.
Well, this leads me to the big bad question of, do we actually still need record labels? What is the role of the record label?
Now I got an opinion on that too.
Today, I have a feeling all of you guys have opinions on that. So
I need a promotion department.
Well, yeah, you need a promotion and marketing department.
No, but I honestly, I think you said earlier about, you know, the radio. So I don't want us to say exactly what you said, but something about radio, it doesn't matter as much anymore.
No, I said that radio and records used to be the only quantitative measure of the
But
business.
I absolutely think that I hear people sometimes say that you don't need them anymore, you don't need radio, you just need the internet. Completely not true.
You do, yeah.
And I can tell you exactly, because you guys might not know how radio works, 15 million in audience.
Yeah.
When you hit 15 million in audience, every one of my records that I put out with Justin goes straight up the chart, #1, #2. And if I don't have 15 million in audience at radio, within 7 days it drops out. When you hit 15 million in audience, you start to see it climb up that chart again. And I just think, it might sound crazy, but I think you need a combination of both. And you shouldn't alienate your fans, but you gotta get everybody. But I'm going to stop talking now.
It depends on what business you're in, though. I mean, I'll kick it to you. Because you had the
what I've been noticing is we work with a lot of different kinds of artists and labels, you know, people up and down the whole spectrum. There are two separate music businesses. There's one that cares about radio and one that doesn't. And the one that cares about radio is actually the one that's freaking out right now, right? Because it's the one most impacted by the changes.
Right.
And then you talk to people, I mean, look at Bon Iver. Bon Iver record came out last week on a little label out of Bloomington, Indiana, right? That does their own distribution, and they are, in a lot of sense, living the dream. You know, they've gotten where they've gotten without the help of radio. So it definitely, you know, I think there are just two separate approaches, and there's no question about the power of radio. But I think there are, if you look at artists, without radio, there's definitely an artificial ceiling, right? You top out, if you use the old measures of the industry, and I don't know if they're relevant, but just to have a metric that everyone knows, nobody gets past a few 100,000 records without the help of radio. You know, if you want to get, you know, to that place where you're selling millions worldwide, even if it's on a Mumford & Sons or a Phoenix kind of scale, you need radio to get there, no question. But to answer the original question, do you need a label? Artists need help, right? There's a great article in The Guardian this morning by Cory Doctorow where he talks about the change in publishing. And what he's saying is that, you know, the job of a publisher is to connect art with audience, right? So the interesting thing is that it used to be the publisher was the barrier to even getting the art anywhere. Like the art practically didn't exist without a publisher. But now, as you guys are proving, anybody can get the content out there, right? You click upload and it's published, right?
It's free.
What Cory's saying though is it's not actually published until someone comes along and connects it with an audience. And the real deal is that could be a lot of different people. It might be a label that helps you make that happen. It might be some blogger who helps you make that happen. It could be just some fan, right? Just some person, and it starts the fire. But that, I think, is the interesting part, is that, you know, there is this fundamental disruption in publishing, but you definitely need help. Every artist I've ever encountered needs help, somebody to help them, whether it's going to be a label or somebody else. We don't know, but, you know, the publishing is going to take some shape.
And
Someone's got to help with it.
What's really exciting right now is that there's a ton of free agents available from the music industry, like myself, who are available to hire, and you can easily get a marketing person or a radio person who has like all those years of experience and has those relationships, and you don't have to go into a 360 deal at a label, right? You have that choice, and you gotta like.
And with that, you can have more creativity and artistic freedom, which I think is the most important thing.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up this certain portion of the morning. And I also want to say thank you really quick to everyone who's watching on live stream. I've been watching your feeds, and I know that we've answered a bunch of the questions that have been coming up. So, Carmen, I'm going to ask you guys to step out, and I have two producers coming in, and we're going to get back to you guys this afternoon. And thank you so much for being here. Like, it's super exciting, and we're going to get to hear a lot more from you guys this afternoon. And I want to invite our in-house producers to come onto the stage and come join us in this conversation, because you guys are going to be working with our artists. So come on down, guys.
What's going on, man?
Great conversation.
This is Rue. Rue is the founder of Bird Call Productions. He's worked with everyone from Beyonce to Nora Jones to Britney Spears. He's also done a bunch of soundtracks, including Fast and Furious 5, Saw 4, and The Greatest Movie Ever Sold, a movie that I totally love. Rue, you are going to be working with Joseph. So we're super. Are you working with Delaney?
No.
You're going to be working with Delaney. I've just decided. So we're teaming you up with Delaney. And then I want to say hi to Christian and to Mark.
Hello.
From Swiss American Federation. They are truly amazing innovators. They've also worked with absolutely everyone under the sun, both individually and as a duo. And they are going to be working with Joseph.
Sir Joseph.
Yes.
That's correct.
It is true. So welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you here. So what I want from you guys is, I know that you have an original song that you want to work on with your respective producers. So I think it's time for you guys to play us a little bit of it. So I'm going to let you guys go get your guitars.
Okay.
And we're going to keep having a conversation here while you go do that. So yeah, just so like to freshen up the experts in this. So basically the producers are going to go into the studio here with our two artists and rework a track.
Looking forward, it's going to be fun.
So you guys have seen the artists and watched their YouTube stuff. Like, what are your thoughts, having worked with so many A-level artists? Like, how do you see this, working out?
Me and Ozzy and myself, we listened to Delaney, I think the album like twice from top to bottom. And I don't think the production let them be let her be who she is. She's actually, you know, I just met her briefly, but she got a lot of vibe. She's a funky girl. So I want to get that. I want to bring that out of her. You know, so I think the music, the production that she has already, it's very, you know, downbeat. It doesn't let her, you know, be herself. And I think especially now with, you know, all the things getting uploaded on, you know, thousands of videos and things getting uploaded, I think it needs to have that. It has to be interesting for people to, you know, like keep their eyes on it, because there's, when you watch YouTube, there's like 10,000 of them on the side. I'm always getting distracted. Commercials are popping up, so at least enough to get them to the chorus. That's what I want to do. Make it interesting. At least get like 30 seconds of somebody's attention, I think.
Christian and Mark, I mean, you've worked with Peter Gabriel, Madonna. You know, what do you kind of see in what you're going to do today?
Well, first of all, Joseph's got an amazing voice. I'm sure you guys would agree. It's like, sounds great, you know. And so we fell in love with that first. I think these guys, you guys sort of touched on this, but it's all about a great song, you know, and he writes some really good stuff. So I think what we're going to do, what we heard is just pretty much raw guitar and vocal. And we noticed a couple of his songs kind of have a sort of a shuffly kind of feel. So I think we're going to take it and give it a little bit more energy, you know, and some peaks and valleys, you know. I think that's sort of what we're hearing in the track that we listened to anyway. So we're excited.
No, I want to talk about song for a minute. I mean, what is it that makes a great song? You know,
it's a great question.
It's only that easy.
I know, right? It's a great, really bad song.
It's interesting, and I'm just going to tell a quick story because it's kind of relevant. You know, my dad was a musician. He was a jazz player, and he used to play for other jazz musicians because he was like a cool cat, you know, and that's really how he was as a musician. And then, you know, there came a period where he couldn't get any work, and he was like digging ditches, and no one wanted to hire him anymore because music had changed from hot jazz to bebop. And he literally went and started studying the charts. And he, and this is coming from like a jazz cat, and he's like, what's popular? What do I do? Like, how do I stop digging ditches? And he would go to the Billboard offices, this is like in the 50s, and he would study the charts to see what was making, what was popular and why it was connecting with people. And he did this for a really long time, and he really started integrating into his songwriting and what a hook is, and how to get a hook to come back around, and how to create themes in music and something that brings in someone. And he ended up using that, and then went on to, you know, arrange Johnny Mathis's Chances Are, which had a great hook. So it's just an interesting thing to kind of look at. I just kind of want to throw that question out there of like, what does truly make a great song? Obviously, it's not as scientific as that. Otherwise, everyone would be making hit songs. But for these experts here, and because authenticity is so important, like, what are your thoughts on that? Did I just blow everyone's mind?
I mean, it's so much about feeling, you know, when you're sitting there and you're writing a track. I mean, it's a combination of lyrics, a combination of melodies. These days, you know, everybody's using synthesizers, so it's gone way beyond just guitar and piano. And, you know, so I think it's about just finding something really interesting that works. In our case, you know, when we're working with different artists, it's really what works for that artist, you know, kind of their vibe. You want to keep them really sort of where they're at in the sense of, you know, keeping it natural. So, but to answer the question, what makes a great song, I mean, so many different ways, I think, to answer that.
No, I mean, you're talking about the magic part, the magic beans part, and what I think is fascinating is just the notion that in whatever decade that was, in the 50s or 60s, he was a data guy. I mean, he was really trying to get at the numbers in the craft, and that is, of course, every bit as important today, but it's only half the equation, right? I mean, we've all heard songs that are hit songs in the hands of anybody, and in fact, they can kind of be, you know, widowmakers for artist spouses, because it's not about the artist. It's just the craft is so great, and it's so undeniably hooky, and it's a jingle. It's just grabby, right? But when you combine great craft, that data piece, with the right chemical combination of artist and story and song, then it becomes an entirely different, enduring thing. And Chances Are is a great example of a perfect craft, I mean, beautiful craft.
That hook, that theme.
I would also claim, though, that one of the sort of definitive features of pop music in the past few years has been the inseparability of song and recording. and maybe this has always been the case, but I think more than ever we've had a lot of hits that without the particular sample that's in them or the particular vocal tone or Rihanna's voice that you recognize, the texture of it, the sound is just as much a part of the song.
So Dr. Luke is doing well then.
Dr. Luke is doing something really interesting though, because maybe some of these songs, if you played them on an acoustic guitar, which always used to be my litmus test for a song.
Right.
You play it on an acoustic guitar and it still is a great song. Yesterday is always a great song, even if the guy can't sing. But
You play it on trombone.
The song "Look at Me Now" that we were just talking
Very
about,
excited about the trombone.
is so Diplo produced it, and it's got this little crazy like blippy sample in it, and that's the hook.
Yeah.
It's just this auditory earworm thing.
Right.
The other thing
it's so subjective, really.
It's totally
so
subjective. And culture's a moving target, you know.
I mean, what's the hit to like the people that listen to a group like Roykstop, for example? You know, some
Right.
really electronic and underground versus one of my seriously,
Right.
you know what I mean? And
But it always reflects something and has to connect to something in the audience. And it's the sign of the times. If that doesn't hit that, it's maybe a great song, it's just the wrong time.
Yeah, emotion is the thing.
And
Emotion, and
I
also
think-
don't listen to it too loud. Because that's the one thing. No, I'm just saying this honestly, because you're going like this. Because when you go into a studio, every artist will pull you into that studio and be like, "Listen to this, man," and they will play that music so loud. Everything sounds great loud.
Everything sounds
that
great
is
loud.
actually true. Everything does sound great.
Everything
loud.
sounds great
sounds
loud.
great loud. If you really want to just test your music, I can't listen to stuff loud because I don't know if I like it. I like to just go in my car, turn it really low, and say, if I was driving and I wasn't paying attention, would this grab me?
Would this cause an accident?
Yeah, like, would I say I need to turn this up
Got the
because
one
there's
line.
something about this song, hearing it low, that's grabbing me. And that's how I like to check songs to see if they're going to be a hit. That's one of my tests. But I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make, and he's laughing and smiling, because every artist I've ever met in my life
They play it loud.
will pull me into a studio and play music at the highest level
And this is
I've
a great,
ever heard in my
this is a
life.
great question though that you raised too about what's a hit to a Roykstop artist, and this is what Ian and Rachel were talking about before too. It's like, is a hit even a meaningful concept anymore?
Right. Good
question.
Right. Like, what is a hit to Bon Iver? What is you know, and Ian drew the distinction between the music industry that's about radio and the one that's not. And I'll take a normative step beyond that and say that I think it's really the music industry for people who aren't that into music, and then the music industry for people who are really into music.
Yeah.
People who are really into music right now don't listen to the radio. Okay, so the question
that's
is,
an unfair statement.
most
I don't
people
know.
who are
No, no,
obsessive about music are
Someone-
not turning on Kiss
there's some
FM.
pretty bad radio out there.
No. What I'm saying is there are people who don't listen to radio and will criticize anything on the radio.
Sure.
There's a
That's a
fine
good
line.
point.
Sure.
there. Because it's you know, I've heard Bon Jovi say it before, where people will say he's a sellout and this that, and the other, and he'll look you in the eye and say, "I sell out stadiums."
Right.
You know, so it's
No, but
Well, right now we're going to go to our artists and see. We could talk about
Do this all
for
day.
like years. Right now we want to go to our artist. Delaney, I'm going to let you start, and you were going to perform Better Version of Me. No pressure.
Yeah, I'm the queen of ballads, so we're just gonna try something upbeat. So I don't you guys.
Faded jeans hanging off an old bedpost. Living here alone, doing time with ghosts. And I used to think it was all parades. And I used to think I'd never be afraid of being myself. And I'm getting back to my roots, hanging up my heels for some cowboy boots. And I'm still the girl you see. I finally figured out what I wanna be, a better version of me. Of me. Of me.
I think it's too short.
You know, I was going to go with another verse, but I just wanted to get short and sweet, you know?
I specifically asked her only to play a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we're doing like, you know, short.
I get it now.
Great
I get
critique,
it.
though. Great critique.
I write for radio, you know.
Thank you so much, Delaney. That is a song that we're going to
We didn't license longer than 30 seconds.
Okay, Joseph, you're up. Tell us what you're going to play for us.
All right, I'm playing a song I wrote. It's called Heartbreak Girl. It's got like a little jazz swing to it, so. No, no, yeah. Yeah. Well, she's standing over there, not looking at me, and it drives me crazy that this feeling won't leave now. She's walking past me, she's what I adore. She about to live, gives me a wink, I'm yearning for more. No, no. Well, she's a lady that's hard to resist, yeah. She's not just someone you could pass up and miss now. The touch of her skin makes me curl up inside. So knock it off, stop playing with me, let's go for a ride, yeah. Cause she's a heartbreaker, you better believe. She's not gonna stop her when she's coming for me. And you never know, it's so true. Cause when she's on me, then she'll be coming for you. She'll be coming for you.
Woo!
Nice.
Okay,
Good job, buddy.
okay, guys, get to work. You know, I'm gonna send off you guys with your artists and check in with you guys this afternoon.
Great.
And good luck. Thank you so much, and thanks for for performing acoustic for us, you two. That's not easy to do.
I think music is going to be all right.
Only at IdeaJam.
CD business screwed. Music?
Yeah,
It's
music.
going to be okay.
Music
that's
is
never going anywhere.
Music is it's a passion. It's a pressure point.
People seem to like it.
People seem to like it. In addition to them doing the songs today, they're also going to get Cash Music is going to build them web pages. And we also have a photographer here, Mima, who's going to be taking pictures of them and putting it on Animoto. So that hopefully by the end of the day, they're going to have like a full.
That's great.
A full thing. Thank you guys so much. It's always absolutely a pleasure to be.
Thanks for having us.
Sitting with you guys.
This was a great set.
We're going to close out the morning with a performance by an artist named K.Flay, who literally did get her start on YouTube. And now is about to get signed to a record deal. She's working with some pretty big name artists that I can't name yet. And I mean, she's like a whirlwind. She's a beat master, she's a rapper, she's a singer. She's super cool, and she's going to perform. And then we're going to Twitter. But first, we're going to Twitter. Yes, we are. We are going to Twitter right now. And then she's going to perform. And we do have a lot of questions coming from our Twitter audience. One of the questions was, how do I, if I'm just like a newbie person, how do I get started? What do I do first? I know that's sort of like a broad question, but a bunch of people on Twitter have been asking that.
You log in.
You log in.
Yes.
You log in. That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good. That's good. From Scooter, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I think we got to give him a better answer than that. I think you start putting your content up there and you start interacting with people like you are a person in the community.
You got to start that feedback loop, right? You got to start like, I'm going to make this. What do you think? Oh,
Absolutely.
People like it. Okay.
I never heard of
I'll make this. And I think what DA said earlier, this is what I see too. Everything starts slow. And that's the part that people people don't think about the 10 years the Black Keys put in before the last couple years. You know what I mean? That's no one talks about that part. You start by just getting it out there.
I think also people, it's everything in life. It's not just on the internet. Something has to happen, give you a little bit of luck, and then when that luck comes, it's what you do with it. You know, and you just keep grinding, and then hopefully that moment will come and you seize it.
We have another interesting question from Twitter, which I love this question because a lot of artists have done it successfully and a lot have not done it successfully, is what happens when you kind of start out going in one direction and then change genres? Like, I know Pink did that a little bit and obviously went on to be hugely successful.
And Carmen, we're hearing that.
And Carmen did it too. Like,
they were headed down some weird jam band route.
With like hippies, they went hippies and then they went into.
I think
I did see it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that.
But it can be career suicide too. You know.
Look at David Bowie. He changed every single year
But
for
it's
10
David
years.
Bowie.
That's what I'm saying. No, look at Beck.
Okay, so step one, be David Bowie.
Be David Bowie.
No, but I'm saying that.
Right.
No, I think I get what you're saying. It depends on the career. You have to make that
Totally.
judgment call. If you were a starting artist and you feel like what you were in the past won't give you a shot to do what you're doing now, the honest truth is you got to work your butt off to make that past disappear on the internet. And it's, listen, it's very hard because you want to get that fair shot at this new thing. If you're at a point in your career like Pink was, where that transition, we've talked about Dylan 100 times now, like, it's a judgment call. There is no formula to this that works to everyone else. It is a judgment call. It's a gut feeling, and you're right or you're wrong. And destiny.
But I also think people have really short memories. I mean, if you look at even Kid Rock had 2 careers before he was Kid Rock, and now he's a country star, right? You know what I mean?
But that was still before, like.
Before all the evidence is waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's all out there.
In this day and age, it's really about knowing who you are and knowing what your message is. Like what I wanted to say to them also, it's like, you know, write down who you are as an artist. Like maybe you do a vision board or whatever you need to do. And then like, so what do your tweets sound like? What do your Facebook posts look like? You know, what kind of YouTube videos are you going to do? And really get clear on who you are so you can take all those changes and like have that stability to make it through this hard industry.
The other thing is that when Ian talks about artists who have changed their sound, I don't really think they've changed what they represent in the world or in culture. So Beck is someone who essentially was selling creativity, novelty, surprise, and that was consistent, right? That was always represented. Sade, on the other hand, sells smooth sex R&B.
So smooth.
And she comes back, and because she's selling this specific aesthetic,
She started when all Missy Elliott
Sade
would
comes
be a
back every 10 years and does the exact same thing, and her fans would all jump ship if she didn't, because she's got a covenant.
It's a reliable brand.
Every 10 years, you're going to get that Sade record.
Yeah.
And so she's selling an aesthetic, whereas other people might be selling something that's a little more abstract and that can dress up in different clothes every time it comes out.
Is the right caveat, which is that the caveat to everything we say on this couch is it's all just kind of relationship advice, which is to say, like, yeah, I can tell you, don't mistreat your lady. But, like, in the end, you know, a relationship with a fan base is like a very long-term relationship. It's like a marriage.
Right.
And sometimes you have to do things on your personal growth curve that test it and stretch it and test the boundaries of it. But the point is, you have to get that relationship through intact, right? You have to always...
But I think the internet has made it a different business in how you do that, because you said David Bowie. Now, I don't know David Bowie. I don't know if I'll ever know the real David Bowie. In today's world, because of camera phones, because of all these different things, you can't go out and be the character and then go and change it.
You can't be Ziggy Stardust.
But you honestly, like, what's so impressive to me about what Gaga does, it doesn't ever stop. Like, it's literally, that's who she is 24/7. Right. And I think 20 years...
I ate fried chicken with her one time.
No, I mean, but I'm sure she was in full outfit. So, and I just felt the mic drop, so I don't know if this is going to be heard. But I think at the end of the day, in today's marketplace, because of all the technology and the access that people have, even when you don't want them to have access, you go out and someone's got you and it's on Twitter 2 seconds later, that you have to be more authentic today than ever before.
Yeah.
Because if you try to be a character as a musician and then walk away...
So Black Veil Brides is in a different situation than Kiss
well,
or,
I think
The Crew
the moral of today, and thank you for everyone for participating in IdeaJam Music Breaking Out Online, is you have to be ridiculously amazing. I think that's pretty much that's our advice to everyone out there.
Be amazing.
And be amazing. And now we've got K.Flay, so thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Woo!
Chia.
Did you see that?
No, Ian said it's amazing. Great. Really? Oh, it's so great. Have you
Blah, 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 la, 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 Bowl of Cheerios, quick tip in my left hand, body like the bomb, but I missed it. Shooting no headband, undercover X-Men, posters at extent. And y'all, I treat it like my under the next jam. Just kidding, I treat my with respect. Talking politics, the boys, but they kissing on my neck. I'm nice, little thing, Kylos, Bojack, your regulations loose. I ride my Nikes loose like the rose that sees where I reside. Far from Mary J, bumping Mary J. Blige, and I might go second when the mic goes in my hand. Take my Flintstones vitamins, fix your bike, I'm cycling. Yeah, when I come in, you see me stopping taters. More popular than gefilte fish out of Seder. Calculators, TI-89, you stuck on 83 while you are waiting line. I'm on VIP, feeling moving at 5mm with my words. F what you heard versus tighter than Ernie and Bert. To the girls that live in their shirts, they see me as one of the perks. Basically, the lady who marks everything is sight. Go up berserk, you tell me slower than molasses. I'm getting glasses, as is I'm the perfect waypoint. Up to that, I'm Greg Maddox. Zero in store, making every voice. Package every comment, I'll enjoy. Shout shooter, aim impeccable. Roll with 3 decimal. Dope is dynamo from here to Senegal. Flow so menstrual. I need a tampon on the track. Gotta go with bars to kill it and some monkeys on my back. I must admit I'm just a bit custom fitted. Check my shit. What's the hit? Who am I kidding? Everyone up in this city wanna get it. Don't need a sidekick. People trim the style every time I'm always invited. Smoking, soaking up sun. You think I'm done? I've just begun. Giant on the mic, they're gonna be bump again. Yakking on superb and sipping on some soda. Tell me that I'm fresh, I'm like no doubt. I said smoking, soaking up sun. You think I'm done? I've just begun. Giant on the mic, they're gonna be bump again. Yakking on superb and sipping on some soda. Tell me that I'm fresh, I'm like no doubt. La 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 la.
Yeah. Come on down and join us.
It's not even
Wow.
What's that?
Is it? It's not even noon yet. She's able to do that.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Oh,
Thank you so much for performing. How are you?
I'm great. I'm chilling. I got a heart on my computer, so I feel very...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you started online and how you've used social media to grow.
I think really for me, online stuff has been... I'm kind of like a really weird personality, so I think the online stuff has been a way to kind of transmit that to people and just be weird and freaky and do something that's like a little bit outside of music. So I put like book reviews online, I do a bunch of weird stuff. So it's a cool way, I think. As a fan of other people, I love to see kind of like the different, multivariate aspects of what people do. So I think for me that's been the really cool thing about it.
Tell us about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so right now I'm still independent. I'm not signed, so I'm kind of working on figuring that out. And in the meantime, I've just been sort of bouncing around, working with some different people, continuing to work on my own stuff. I just put out a mixtape like a month or so ago. Just finished that up, and yeah, just really working on my production chops. I mean, I produce and write all this stuff, so it's I think about especially really building up my repertoire and trying to get the sound more less to sound like out of the inside the box, you know what I mean, like something that was created on a computer and using live instrumentation and other kinds of methods to really like give it more of a dynamic feel. So I'm sort of in like student mode. I'm like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or something in the sewer.
And you were saying earlier that like you really show your personality online, like with your fans, like quirky and kind of and you've seen that really connect with your audience.
Yeah, I think for me there's been like a very core group of people who
like are super stoked about it, and then a lot of people who are like, cool. But I think for those people who are really invested, I think it makes a difference. And I know like the bands and artists that I love, that's like what I want, you know, is just to get a little glimpse of like their weirdness. So I think, yeah, and it's a good release too when you're not feeling creative and you don't want to write a song, and you know.
Your blog is amazing.
You just want to, oh, thank you.
It's really beautiful, and
Thank
like
you.
it's so cool that like you can like dive right into your world and like see exactly like what you're thinking and what you're viewing and like what you're reading.
Yeah, no, and I think it gets back to, you guys were talking about authenticity and sort of, you know, I think you can only be yourself, and if you don't commit to that pretty fully, then people are going to call you on it a bit.
And that's actually the good thing about social media, is because you get called out immediately. You know, there are people out there who will call you out.
No, it's true. I mean, people, you know, artists will ask me, do I need to do more? Do I need to be more social? And my answer to that is always like, well, are you feeling it? Because you cannot fake it. Like, it doesn't hurt to be a charismatic person. That's going to help you. But a lot of artists who make great, beautiful art have absolutely no charisma outside of the art. And, no, I mean, and you have to confront that and sort of incorporate that into your online persona. There's a guy, a great manager, Marty Winch, you probably know him. Corey Smith is his artist, an incredible independent artist, but a guy who should not be communicating with his fan base online. He hates it, he's averse to it, he's terrible at it, and Marty will tell you, because we felt pressured to do it, we tried it, and it was just awful, and it was forced, and it was fake, and it had no authenticity, and so we just stopped doing it. It's like, put that hammer down and stop hammering on that thing, because that's not who you are.
Yeah. No, that's true, and I think sometimes I want people to be like elusive artists.
Right.
I don't want them to be on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For certain people.
Or you get disappointed.
Yeah, right.
You know,
They're
like.
Well, it depends on the artist.
Yeah.
I
was following Eddie Izzard, and he wasn't funny, and it really upset me.
Mm.
Like it did, because I think he's a genius. I'm like, you're not funny.
Well, it's funny because the irony of meeting famous people in person or online is that typically you have access already to the best, most interesting thing about them, which is their work.
Right.
And that's why it's usually disappointing, because all you know of them is this thing that they spent 3 years working every day to make. And then, of course, they're just a boring person like everyone else. And some people are bad about letting that out too much online, and it can spoil the art, you know?
Yeah. Well, authenticity and speaking from the heart. I mean, that's really like what we've been talking about today.
And sex appeal.
And sex appeal,
And
you know.
smooth.
And smooth jazz. And
Smooth operators.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for sharing the morning with
Thanks
me
for having
and being
us.
a part of IdeaJam Music. And with that, we are signing off until the afternoon. So thank you. Next up, we're going to see the artists in the studio who are going to be working with their respective producers. We're going to have Animoto is going to be taking pictures because we're going to put together a whole visual display by the end of the day. And then we're also going to have Cash Music, who's in the house, and they're going to be putting together web pages. We also have some amazing mentors who are going to stop by the studio this afternoon and sit with our artists. Obviously, Carmen was here. I think we have Pete Wentz stopping by, Joel Madden, Nika Costa. So we have some really heavy hitters that are going to give their advice to the creative process. So we're really looking forward to it. Thank you, IdeaJam. Thank you, Catalyst. Thank you, Intel, Google, and YouTube. Bye. Thank you to everyone online. Yay.
So good.
Thank you guys so much.
Good sit.
This is so good.